Are we going then?
Yeah, we were going, but Alex was still floating like a balloon.
Do you want me to... Alex was. The Rapid Capture Podcast from Orlando, Florida. Episode 4. With Tymone and the Photogrammetry Addict.
Man. It's the Photogrammetry man.
Oh, shit.
Welcome to the Rapid Capture Podcast this week from Florida, and we are in
Orlando.
We are here for a virtual reality simulation convention
IETSEC
for military training. So yes, we're in the pool, we're enjoying ourselves a little bit after long days at these shows, but we've got some new news with the world of XR. We've got some stuff to tell you about some scanning, sales, social, blast-offs.
We're not going to do the whole thing from the pool. We are going to go inside shortly and finish actually doing the podcast. This is just a little intro that Ty didn't want to do from the pool, but finally managed to get him to do it properly. When we got the lighting right, he was much happier.
But there is one major reason why we're still in the pool doing this from an iPhone, is because our technician is in the pool. Get out, get the audio sorted out, and the camera's sorted out.
Ollie's going to go and sort the cameras out for us, and then we're going to talk about the models that I've sold, the models that Ty's sold, the trip to Star Wars, a bit about the show. Ty was a bit funny about it because I called it Star Wars Land. Star Wars World, apparently it's called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge or something. So I think we better get out of the pool.
Yeah, let's go.
You bought a lightsaber as well.
Yeah.
It's the Rapid Capture Podcast.
Okay, welcome to the Rapid Capture Podcast with me, Tyrone, aka Ty Kicks, and Alex Harvey, the Photogrammetry man on YouTube. This week's episode 4, and we're going to be talking a little bit about obviously everything that's going on in the world of XR, and we're going to be talking about scanning, talking more about what we've sold and where we are in the world and what we've been up to and why we're in a different location to normal. So
definitely where we are, that's pretty important.
Well, I'll let you do the location introductions then.
We've had to set up a nice little podcast chat here in Orlando, Florida, because we've just been to IETSEC. It was a military and training show where we were on a little stand that we have a partnership with a tech partner with Clarion Events. And that allows us to go all over the world with them and show our VR solutions to everyone, as well as meeting loads of cool people and seeing loads of cool tech, which is quite handy for content. Yeah. I guess we'll get on to what content made that amazing shortly.
Yeah. So let's kick it all off with, obviously we flew out to Florida for this event, which was on Friday of this week just gone. And unfortunately, there are highs and there are lows. Right at the beginning of the trip, I got food poisoning, so didn't feel particularly well, and I'm still trying to get my stomach a little bit more battle hardened for the rest of this trip.
Tyrone and Oliver were pretty much bedbound for a couple of days, while I went to a space launch.
Yeah, so I'll let you just carry on with that then, whilst he likes to rub it in. I didn't get to go. I was desperately trying. I even managed to get in a cab with Ollie, our glamorous technician and resident rivr brains, and unfortunately we were going to miss it.
Yeah, so I drove there, and then you felt better. At first you weren't going to come, so I just drove off anyway. And then I felt like I better ring you, and I rang Ty, and he said to me he was going to get in an Uber and start driving down in an Uber to Kennedy. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive. But then, when I got there, they said that they were going to shut the bus queue at 12:30, and Ty wasn't going to get there till 1 o'clock. So he had to, unfortunately, turn around and go back while I watched the SpaceX launch. But I bought you a beer as a commiseration.
Thanks. Nice. Okay, so with that being said, then it got to the next day, which was Sunday. We started to feel a little bit better, and we unsurprisingly had a little bit of a chat with our good friends, or my good friends over at Luma, who, shall we say, Alex has been a little bit of a convert, or shall we say a bit of a traitor to photogrammetry, shall we say, and he's been utilising the app a little bit. You've been doing a bit more. No, you have been doing a bit more scanning using it, but you understand what you're scanning now.
Tyrone dragged me by my collar into a Starbucks when we were back in England, and he forced me to watch a video about photogrammetry and Luma. I think it was the guys from Corridor Crew. Interesting
Really
video.
Yeah.
And after that video, I understood a little bit more that Luma is really, really good for making two-dimensional renders after you've done a scan with your phone to make a 2D wow render that sort of gives you angles that you couldn't get in the real world, like from a camera. I get it, it's good. So I thought we'd use that at, I called it Star Wars World in the video. Sorry, everyone. It's obviously...
Well, it's Disney World, and they've got their zones, and this one is Hollywood Studios, and it was Galaxy's Edge area, which is the Star Wars area of that particular part of the park.
So we spoke to Luma and we thought we'd make a couple of videos for them. So we made a couple of promo videos. You can see them on my YouTube channel and probably on Luma's channel as well. But that's just me and Ty making some videos, filming us going around scanning the Millennium Falcon and also a speeder. So I think Ty's got a little bit of the speeder footage here. Great.
Yeah, and for people that are listening to the podcast, supposed to be able to see it, as you walk around, there are obviously certain Star Wars related things. Unfortunately, a lot of them are fenced off, so you're not able to get right up and close. That's what's quite cool with Luma, is that you can just do a few passes around with video, and then you've got your own personal kind of scan to be able to move like a virtual camera through it. You can now go onto Luma's website now, and you can keyframe your own cinematic video from anything you capture. So we kind of went in and did a cinematic redo, which is what's on our socials, not this particular one. This was the thing that was just spat out naturally from Luma.
And I like my new little slogan, which is, if you can't touch it, nerf it.
Yeah, wow, it's fairly true. Like, if you can't get near it, then you can have multiple different videos that you can create utilizing the Nerf. So yeah, like something like with this one, this was a nighttime shot of the Millennium Falcon, which is pretty amazing. There are a lot of people walking around, so they can disturb the kind of image that you've got, but it still looks wicked. Like the lighting and everything on it looks pretty amazing. And for obviously again, people that aren't watching, this was a nighttime shot in this area. You've got a full-size Millennium Falcon sort of docked in this bay in the middle of some canyons, and it's all quite dark with some amazing blue lighting sort of lighting up the canyons and some sort of yellow lighting lighting up the Falcon. So it's pretty mega to do some scans with Luma, and I think they're very appreciative. Yeah,
and there's also two ways to do these scans. The first one you showed, we did by capturing video on the iPhone, then uploading it from the app to make the model, or to make the render. And then the second one was done in the app taking photos. But before this, the day before, at the SpaceX launch that Ty didn't get to go to,
we're a bit inward, ain't you?
I used the Luma app again, and there were some glass barriers, if you like, out underneath Saturn V. The big rocket that you've never seen.
Yep.
Underneath Saturn V, there was a glass moon landing, mooncraft thingy. I'm really good with my words about this. And I couldn't get to it, so I thought I'd scan through the glass. So you can also see that on some of my TikTok stuff, where I managed to scan through the glass to make a model after the fact that maybe allowed me to fly through the glass and make a 2D render. Again, if you can't touch it, nerf it.
Cool. So yeah, that was a little bit of our attempts at using Luma. We had a really good time at Disney. He had a really good time at the rocket launch.
Amazing.
And overall, we had a really good first weekend acclimatising to the time zones before we went and actually did some real work.
That was my third my third rocket launch.
Yeah, it was great. The toilet sounded great anyway. Not the best, I've heard.
That was Sunday.
Yeah, so that was Sunday, and then actually let's kind of just sort of go back to talking about scans and things like that. Have you had any of your scans in any way, shape or form sell?
Am I going first?
Yeah.
So obviously we use Polycam to do photogrammetry scans, whereas I've been using Luma to do these Nerf scans. But my Polycam scans sell quite often, and everyone sort of kicks off online about how are you selling burgers and 3D pigeons and stuff like that. Well, this week I sold another one, and I think You might have sold something, so you're going to tell us in a minute. But
Yeah.
I sold, here we go. This is a 3D model of the town in Warwick, a little construction site. Pretty boring, not as exciting as a dead pigeon, but you had a sale as well.
Yeah, I had a sale. I sold these tiger-style fries that are from a amazing burger joint called Hambo, based in Worcester. They've got one in Birmingham as well. We get on really well with them. They are going to hopefully utilise some of our amazing scanning techniques to add some AR magic to their menus. This one sold for $25, which is amazing considering that it doesn't cost $25.
$25?
Yeah.
That's like more than any of mine have sold for, I think.
Which is amazing, and I'm very pleased of that achievement.
You loved telling me that, didn't you?
Yeah. So yeah, with that is the 2 sales for us for the most recent week anyway. Let's have a quick chat. Let's not go too much considering the smugness of it all, onto socials, and we'll have a quick look at socials, which I don't really do bags of socials anyway, so it's all really more on Alex for socials.
This is the bit I'm looking forward to.
During this week, during the show that we were at, there were plenty of things to see, lots of virtual reality that we are going to talk about after the XR news, and talk about the situation with virtual reality and things that are forgotten about in virtual reality. But yeah, a lot of this show is VR and simulation.
Look how amazing that page looks. That's my TikTok page. It's looking absolutely amazing. But if we scroll right down to the video in the middle, I did an 8-second video and it had 7... Oh, he's going to play it. Let's just play it. Not very long. It's literally 7 seconds long, and it says, "I wonder if this game would get boring." And it's a guy with a VR headset on. He's got a Vario on with a pass-through camera, and he's got a big machine gun, and he's hanging out of a helicopter. And it did. Well, it's currently at 7.4 million views with 5,000 comments. So, one warning for people that want to go and have a look at this video: I suggest you don't read the comments, because it just, some of them are absolutely horrific. Shows you the type of people in the world. It's crazy, some of the comments, but we brush over them. We go into the 7 million views. We walk in through the show the next day after it did like 4 million views overnight, and it was rather funny. As I'm walking along with Tyrone, I hear people say, "Oh, it's the TikTok guy." That was quite funny.
It was pretty funny. And then obviously, because of the success of this particular TikTok, Alex went around the entire show finding anything from people doing bird-related simulators, which was weird. I think that was really strange. I really don't understand the requirement to need to pretend to be a bird in any way, shape or form, especially not for military. Anyway, and also parachute simulation training, which is rather interesting.
That was
hanging from some sort of rig and then being released down and having to clearly parachute down to the ground. Very interesting stuff, definitely wild.
I guess all of that plays into what we're going to say about VR though as well.
Yeah,
there was so many more VR related things to have a go on than the previous 2 years that we've been.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about that in a bit?
Yeah, that'll be after the XR news, but we can talk a couple of little bit about the show. We had an opportunity to go and have a go on a couple of different things, namely one that you're more familiar with than I am, which was we went to see Magic Leap, which are a company that create AR glasses.
Okay.
And they have a new product, which is the Magic Leap 2. Apparently the Magic Leap 2 has a wider field of view.
Massive.
You can see way more inside these glasses. And it also has this thing that's apparently like local dimming behind these particular AR projected models or whatever it may be. Unfortunately, we never got to have a chance to see whether that was actually true, which makes things that maybe are a little bit translucent or like have dipped opacity a bit more solid. But what was your opinion?
My view is, well, first of all, I went to see Magic Leap in 2019 in Miami, and I was not impressed when I first saw it because the field of view was so small, and they played Angry Birds, and everything looked like 50% opacity, which was disappointing. So that was 2019. So I was excited to have a look at it this time and see if it was any better. I was not impressed. I'm allowed to be open, aren't I? I was not impressed. Again, very much not impressed. They gave me a gun. They'd strapped a controller to this big gun. The gun had a bit of recoil. There was about 50 different people on the stand, all like milling around. Looked like they had still lots of money to spend. And they were trying to get into, it looked like, the military simulation type of things by showing a gun demo with some augmented reality bad guys in this little walk around. Okay.
Oh, just missed it.
On Ty's day 2 video, we saw some of me with the gun walking around. But again, the models were 50% opacity-ish. The field of view was a little bit better. You could look up and down a bit more and left and right. It was nicer. But like you were saying, I can't really see. It's like they're trying to shoehorn something in. Yeah, there it is. The big gun, walking around, shooting the bad guys. You still had a massive puck in your pocket.
Yeah.
What's that about?
And that was the thing, like, we were having a conversation today with people, weren't we? And they were saying, what would be better, Magic Leap or, say, Quest Pro? And obviously the balance of it all is that, obviously, Quest Pro is first and foremost a VR headset. So it's not the same product. That is a product that is very much like glasses and has lenses and has cameras either side of the lenses, whereas a VR product is a panel, a screen, and then it utilizes cameras to give you a pass-through to the real world. And it's probably the closest thing that we've seen to a really good pass-through that's to scale, if you would believe that.
And the field of view feels nice on it.
You've got field of view, you've got your peripherals when you take the blinkers off, and everything as you move your arms from your real peripherals into frame, it feels quite good. Now, don't get me wrong, the pass-through could definitely be improved on that product, and I think that it will do over time. It's new, and obviously there's a lot more work to be done to make it a very complete product. But you know, that's kind of our view on Magic Leap, and that was just a little discussion we had with other people from other booths at this show. Anyway, we need to move on. We need to go to the world of XR news. Let's bring up some of the news.
Is this where you've got some special news stories for us to look at?
Yeah, let's have a look. 1 second. I've got the news. I can tell you what it is, but a lot of it I kind of pick up from Upload, which is great. They're a really good resource. We have firstly on there the news of websites can now add a link to launch a web XR experience on Quest. So you can now add links to any website. And
I'm a big fan of web XR.
I know you are, and I think that was one of the main reasons why I thought this was quite a good piece of news, that it will give you the ability to now have a link on your website and it will open in Quest, which is quite cool.
Well, I think web XR is going to be good. The only downside at the moment is getting into a browser window in a Quest is a little bit painful. It used to be that you could just bring up the web page and type in your address. Now I have to search the App Store for an app called Browser, and then I click on that, and then I get a browser. So it's a little bit painful. I think Oculus or Meta are very conscious that they might not want WebXR to be a big thing, because it's sort of it's a bit of a way around, a bit of a workaround for getting apps on the App Store, which has also been a bit of a pain. So I think as soon as speeds get better, WebXR is going to be amazing for people to deliver VR experiences straight to a website. And that is what people will do in the future. Forget about the word metaverse, in my opinion. Everyone's going to want their own metaverse. Every single brand or company, I think, will have a www.bestbuy.com, and you'll just go to that in a headset, and when it knows you're in a headset, it will let you walk into the shop.
Yeah.
Walk around and pick things up and choose products and play with them. But everyone's trying to make these metaverses, and then trying to get brands to come to them. I think they're going to have to scrap all that when everyone makes their own.
Yeah, cool.
So I think it's a good thing.
Mega. Right, moving on is a really interesting one that I don't know if you know or not, but Sony are creating, or Sony-owned company Mocopy or Mocopy are creating a compatible full-body tracking kit for VR chat specifically, but I can imagine that many other companies will utilize this, because at the moment it's only going to release in Japan, but it will give you full-body tracking on a Quest for $350.
Does this mean mocap will soon be dead?
Yeah, that was the main reason of this story that I thought was quite good, was that the potential for cheap mocap is coming.
Yeah, because you could
do very interesting.
You could do a photogrammetry scan of a character like you or me in a big rig, so it looks really good, and then you could just do the mocap walking around with these trackers on, and then your photorealistic avatar would then walk around and look like you.
Yeah.
So that would remove the need for everyone to have these big mocap studios, like the ones we went to visit recently in Coventry, who are spending loads of money doing volumetric capture.
Yeah.
God, don't get me started on volcap.
But you look at it from this standpoint, you've got 6 trackers, 2 for your wrists, 2 for your ankles, 1 for your hip, 1 for your head, and you're pretty much fully tracked. It will give you the ability to, they've all got accelerometers and gyroscope built in, and obviously it's going to give you the ability to have, you know, full body avatars in the social chat apps and stuff that are in the, well, people will say metaverse, but they're apps, aren't they, at the moment? Give you that ability to do that, and who knows, if it's popular enough in Japan, I don't see why people aren't going to try and buy them and import them, and maybe they might release them, but this is what they look like in a little packet, little pucks.
That's cool. And then if you couple that with the Quest Pro's face tracking, you've got a really good avatar. You could see the people's mouth movement and their body movements.
Yeah.
You could see how that would really take off. But, God, it makes me feel sorry for the mocap suit people, the people that are making these big all-in-one suits and selling them for 10 grand a pop and having these big studios, because there's also the fact that you can now video someone, 2-dimensional video, and take that footage out and lay that over a photorealistic character and then make the people look like they're moving around.
Definitely.
I think volcap is going to die because that just a volumetric capture of a 1-minute piece might be somebody just walking around doing one thing and they can't go away from that motion that they did. They have to record a new motion for running and a different one for walking. I think this is going to be the future. Dynamic capture, dynamic mocap. Don't start a mocap studio.
Last one on the list, and our good friends at DPVR have released a brand new 6 Degrees of Freedom standalone headset called the E4, priced at $550.
Hang on, is this the one that you had a go? No, not the one.
No.
The previous headset that DPVR sent to us, you tried to play 360 video on it, worked. Then you tried to put 3D 180 video on, and it didn't work.
Didn't work, no.
That doesn't seem great.
Well, not for our use case. Now, it doesn't mean that they couldn't fix it, and I have relayed that over, but I'm really concerned about this particular headset being released now when you have something like a Pico 4. You've got Quest Pro, obviously a different price point, but understanding that headsets are moving away from Fresnel lenses and moving more into pancake, and these are Fresnel lenses again.
Gone back in time.
Yeah, and I understand Quest Pro is still selling, Quest 2 is still selling, sorry, but not at $550. And I think that's the problem. You're going to sell a headset that has very few games titles and a very minimal library and is very unheard of commercially for $550. That's more than a Pico or a Quest. I don't really see it really challenging in any way. And I have watched a review, and I don't know if you caught it when I was watching it whilst we were here, by a YouTuber, I think it was Voodoo DE. He got his hands on one, and the first thing that he said instantly was that it felt really cheap plastic, really flimsy. I'm not going to say that I believe that that's the case, because I can't say that until I get actually one in hand, if I even get one in hand. But the overall aesthetics of it, you've got inside-out tracking, you've got 2 controllers with the controller rings, a very classic kind of design for like what Quest had, and overall the headset is looking a bit like this. It's kind of got like a halo strap, a bit sort of similar to a PSVR.
It looks massively like the PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
The head strap, anyway.
Well, the overall look of it, white and black with a shiny black bit at the front. It's got some similarities there.
You can see the size difference though. When they use these type of lenses, the headset's just massive. You can see that's definitely going to look big next to a Quest Pro.
Yeah. The only thing that it's saying that it has an advantage over other headsets is apparently it's got very large field of view. Apparently, the field of view is supposed to be greater. It's got the same pixels per eye as a Quest 2. Not as good as a reverb, but is claiming to have 116 degrees of field of view as opposed to 96 on a Quest. So who knows? It's lighter than a Quest. It's got a proper halo strap, but it's still $550.
I like the way there's one bit that's cool where you can lift it up at the front. I'm watching the little bit here where you can lift the front up and look, rather than taking it off your head.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on from that. We very much kind of obviously don't aim to bash. We just want to kind of be real with things, and I think that, you know, the overall vibe, even with something like Pico 4, is that it doesn't have enough games in its library and its arsenal to really put a dent in Quest just yet. It may do in the near future.
Imagine if all the app stores changed to WebXR.
Yeah, well, imagine
then it wouldn't matter about what headset it is.
Well, yeah, or we had a situation where, you know, companies say like Meta have bought up games companies that are making VR games, and they are happily able to license them to other headset manufacturers to push VR forward as opposed to hold it back in that sense. I think that would be much, much better for everyone. A bit like how Sony and Microsoft negotiate terms with different games, and, you know, they may have exclusivity a little bit early on, but then they both get to do it, and there may be some cross-platform as well, which would be quite good. I think that is the key to having really, really good games titles, is being able to give everybody who owns a VR headset an opportunity to play against each other if that's a multiplayer game, not isolate them to the only, if you're in one brand's camp kind of thing.
It looks like even on the DPVR website, there's a lot of them that have like Beat Saber, Half-Life Alyx, Arizona Sunshine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you can get. I just wonder if you have to download it on their store, or how does it work? If you've bought it on Quest, have you got to buy it again on their store?
Yeah.
That's rubbish.
Yeah. It doesn't mean, like, I'm not saying that they haven't got a good games library, it just might not be a vast games library.
Or could you just plug it into Steam and use it on that, and that's why it works like?
Potentially, yeah. You may be able to just make it PC VR and you're good to go. But it's not very well heard of across the world, DPVR, and so I don't know how it's going to promote itself. I think that's the point of it. That was XR News, and we will be back next week to do a bit more of the same old, having a look at what's new in the world of XR, VR, AR. But we're now going to move on to something that was really important.
Trainers.
Oh yeah. That's really important to me, obviously. So let's go to trainers.
You've got to switch it up with
really
trainers.
Briefly, let's go over the fact that Alex Harvey isn't into trainers, and I am. And I try my best to make sure that he doesn't break his feet.
I'm into trainers when I want to buy new trainers. When I need to get some new trainers because they're falling off my feet, I follow you to a shop where you tell me to buy trainers.
So, yeah, so I'll start with this, seeing as you start with scanning stuff, because that's your passion. I'll start with, I've got myself a brand new pair of shoes. These are the ones. These are the Lost and Found Jordan 1 High in the Chicago colorway, a shoe that has not released in this colorway for a good number of years. This is the OG original Jordan 1. Michael Jordan wore these back in the day.
Not those ones.
No, this color and this style. Okay. Back in 85, 86.
What does colorway mean?
The color.
Like, why do you have to say way at the end of it?
Because that's what you say. That's what you say, the colorway. The colourway of this is these.
The colour of these trainers is this.
So it's, but the difference with the originals to now is that they've actually been aged intentionally to look like they've came from that time.
They've got that hearing aid beige look to them.
Not really that beige, but there's some cracked leather. The white is cracked on the areas around the swoosh.
And how much were they? Or are you not allowed to say?
No, 160 quid or 165 quid, something like that. But very...
Where'd you get them from?
I got them from Offspring in Birmingham, actually. So they've come all the way with me. They've been my airport runners, which have been quite cool. And they have a thing that's coincidental with Alex's new buy. The only difference is that mine are not quite glow in the dark. Alex has bought some new shoes. Let's have a look at them.
Well, I don't buy trainers that often, but I only buy Ultra Boost because he got me into them about 65 years ago. So I only buy them. And I wanted to also get some red trainers. So here they are.
Jesus Christ.
You might have to put your sunglasses on.
Holy moly, they are special.
Ty thought as well that I've been scribbling on the lens, on the scribbling on the soles because they're a little bit like black and white. But I got these and a pair of blacks because in America they seem to be like £80 each rather than 150 in the UK. I've been trying to buy trainers for about 6 months, getting Tyrone to go in shops with me and then just like moan. It's actually me moaning, saying that like, no, I don't like those ones, I want some other ones.
It doesn't help that he's got massive feet.
Maybe you should describe these to the viewers but that can't see them.
Okay, yeah, so these are Ultra Boost.
What colourway are they?
The colourway is a luminous red. No, they're not neon red, they're just red.
Violently red?
Blood bright red, like fresh blood red.
These were good at the show today.
And then the soles on them, if you don't know much about Ultra Boost, the upper is like a fly knit material. It's not fly knit, a prime knit material. It's quite stretchy, it's quite aerated, it's got a lot of like gaps in it, and it's got Boost material as the sole, and that stuff is super comfy and cushiony and soft, hence why Alex can flatten them like a pancake over the next 6 to 12 months. And they are, originally they were like a running shoe, but actually they crossed over into being more of a casual wear shoe.
I don't run in them that much.
No.
I've got something else I want to talk about.
Quickly, because we need to move on to the next section.
We had a burger delivered, and it's this one.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast burger delivered in Florida. It was absolutely crap.
Sorry, Mr. Beast.
Sorry.
We love you for a lot of other stuff.
Love the videos.
Not for the burger.
The cold burgers that come in the delivery are absolutely honking.
I think you can't blame the cold burger being from them though. That's going to be the delivery driver being slow. But
I know, but I've just got a problem with delivery.
I didn't rate the burger. I actually genuinely didn't rate the burger. It was just not a great burger. So if they are normally great wherever you are based, Mr. Beast, you need to have a word with the ones in Orlando because it's not that good, sorry. So moving on to the final topic of the podcast, and that is the main subject of what is VR at the moment, what are the stages of VR. And the one thing that we noticed when we were at this particular show was that everyone has jumped into more room scale, more interactive.
Sixed off.
Yeah. The real word is sixed off, but I don't want to use it because it just sounds horrible. Because it's like 6 degrees of freedom. It basically means you can move around. You can move around, you can pick stuff up. And the reality is, in Alex's world, everything should look as photorealistic as possible. Some people don't do that, as we've noticed.
They love the cartoon world.
They don't always look great. i.e. your gun shooter person for your TikTok video. Alex actually had a go on that gun and he had a headset on, and it was one of the most expensive headsets that you can buy. It's thousands and thousands of pounds and can do a little bit of mixed reality. So he could see his hands, he could see the gun, he was firing away at what I can only describe as Farmville. It was terrible graphics for whatever it was. No offense to the people that make it, because they've done obviously a really good job and they're really nice guys. But it's just a prime example of, you know, you could make it better. It depends whether it needs to be better. That's the main point. Depends if it needs to be better. But the reality of it is that they're not the only ones that will make something that doesn't necessarily look amazingly photorealistic. Like
rivr Investigate.
Yeah. But what does look realistic that was overlooked massively is the fact that there are immersive video options. And that is a passive experience. You're not interacting. You're not, the objective is not to interact, and you're not supposed to be moving and picking stuff up and doing things. You're supposed to absorb the content like an experience that you don't do anything with. It's more familiarization, or someone's doing some sort of demonstration. And that's where obviously we have a product that does that, and we were one product of
None.
Really. I felt
no
like
one
we were
else.
the only product that was showing that stuff, because people leapfrog over it into something that is probably far more expensive, that isn't really as cost effective.
Everyone wants to make sexy, cool, amazing VR, so they forget about video. But if you think about video in its rawest thing, like looking at you, you're real. Mm-hmm. So if we film video, we can make everything look photorealistic. There's different variable levels of that. You know, you've got 360 video with a £500 camera, or you've got 3D 180 video with a £6,000 camera. People don't even know the difference between that yet. They jump straight into making a gun simulator, shooting cartoon characters out of an airplane. You could go and film 3D 180 video in the helicopter or have a 360 video in the helicopter like we do. But it's frustrating that when Oculus killed the Oculus Go, everyone just thought video was dead. But it's not, because we've been selling rivr all over the world, and we give people the ability to take a video camera, 360 camera, shoot their own content, load it onto the Link kit the same day, and let 15 people consume it in a training environment while the instructor pauses the video, highlights something, and then goes out and does it for real. It's a stopgap between the classroom and the real world, and people completely forget. There was no one else at that show. We were the only ones there showing a system for doing simultaneous video playback.
Yeah, there was one other company there that was talking about their software and the fact that they utilize 360 video and that they do overlays and stuff like that. And you know, great. You know, we wouldn't turn around and say that we're in competition with them.
It's a step too far again.
But they were doing something, but they weren't showing the output method, the way to be able to distribute that content en masse to people. And I think that actually, when we talk to people, it's really interesting, the conversations that we have. Like, I will be in and around Alex when he's talking to people, and I'm watching their interactions, and it's really interesting that when Alex mentions anything about immersive video, I almost feel like the person is completely like, they've looked at Alex in a way that's almost like, ugh.
What are you on about?
Like, really snobbish. It's really snobbish towards anything related to immersive video, because it's not interactive and it's not sexy and it's not made in Unreal or Unity, that all of a sudden it must be shit.
We have to say, though, that,
you know, crap. You know,
it's a
like,
stage 1, stage 2 thing.
Yeah, and I think the overall thing, and I don't swear on this podcast, but it really frustrates me that people can't just open their eyes to the fact there are stages. That's the point. Like, some people can't afford that level of VR. Like, some industries, like education, if we talk about maybe certain universities or even schools, can't afford it, but they would like to have access to it.
We can make it for them if they want it.
I know.
That's the thing.
But it's more a case of, there are big, massive companies that have bags of money that could buy it. There are big governments that have lots of money. They can buy it, and they're you know, military or you know, their I don't know, Department of Defense. You know, those companies can buy into the really sexy stuff, but actually the video stuff is for everyone. They could buy that as well. You know, they can utilize it in a different way, and I think that's why we're having this discussion.
We say it's a stage 1, stage 2 because they could have a passive video experience where you can have 15 people, bums on seats. You can go and film your helicopter landing in the field out the back and show people how they do that and show them in the headset. Then you can make a helicopter simulator afterwards. But you need to get buy-in in your organisation first. You need to understand that a lot of people don't want to jump straight into a 6DoF photorealistic VR world and pay 300 grand for it and then not have a good experience. Yeah. That will put the whole business off the VR thing. So I think it's really important that people look at video before they look at 6DoF and immersive environments. And it was really good to see at the show so many people doing these big simulations. And I think next year we'll probably see more people doing video. Yeah,
definitely. Like, you know, we've got fire colleges in the UK utilising it. They're creating their own content. They're sharing content. And we're bringing something to rivr as a product, which, if you don't know what that is, rivr, and we've spoken about it in previous podcasts, but it's a multi-user virtual reality system all housed in one flight case. All the headsets are charged within the flight case. You get a laptop and you get the ability with just literally mains power to be able to deliver as you know, instructor-led training, a class and related to contextually what you want. It depends who you work for and what you do as your job, but you can record content once and deliver it out. Even if you're the lecturer, you could go and record your class once, and you could literally just sit at the front and press play and not have to talk. You could just do it that way if you really don't want to. If you've got loads of things, maybe there are certain items that you need to show that are massive, and you could only go there once. It could be, and I'm just plucking something out of thin air. You could be agricultural. You could be into farming, and
Tractors.
you literally can't bring a tractor into the classroom. You could go out to the field. You could have that tractor there. You could go to someone who owns one as a farmer.
Get the farmer with his knowledge.
Film it and talk about it, and then come back to the classroom. You are the familiar face anyway, and you're in that video as well. And that's what's great, because that's being delivered to 15, 30, 2. It really depends how many you need to deliver it to, but it's really, really good for uniform learning for your students or who you're educating.
I think it's massively overlooked, and people are going to start going back to it. Like you said a minute ago, it's been stepped over. People just go straight for the 6DOF stuff when they need to just rewind a little bit. Like, we can make 6DOF experiences photorealistic. We've done it for Axon, UK, US government. We can do it, but you might not want to pay 300 grand to make a little scene that's only going to do one thing. Like, we're speaking to big car manufacturers at the moment about, we actually wind them backwards. They come to us asking if they can make this interactive experience where they can do this in VR, and we say no, just buy a link kit for 20 grand.
Yeah.
You can buy this kit, shoot your own content, or if you want us to come and make a video, we'd obviously like flying around the world and doing that. That's great, but that'll be your stage one. As soon as you've got 20 videos on your box, you can then buy 4 boxes, send them out to everyone, have consistent training, and then it's also 4 times more effective to do that than it is to have it on PowerPoint.
Yeah, definitely.
Frustrating. I think we're going to see more people having video. One more bit on Link. There was a couple of people at the show that we are now having serious conversations with. I won't say who they are because they'll be ahead of the game as soon as they do it. But they're going to take their 6DOF simulation software and they're going to export a 360 video or photo from that world out of Unity or Unreal. And they're going to load that into Link, and they're going to be able to show inside their software what it's like in a tank, what it's like in an aeroplane, what it's like from the ground, all these different bits, or what it's like firefighting. They'll be able to do that and then put it into Link Kit and show 15 people at the same time. So next year, I'm expecting there'll be at least 2 or 3 people that have a Link Kit to show off their software without having to have a big simulator there. You could be inside their game engine.
Yeah.
Equirec exports out of Unity and Unreal. Video and photos. Then you move it one step further, you can have stereo exports out of there, so it looks really good.
Yeah, and I think that that's sort of like a really good way to sort of wind up this kind of particular conversation, because, we don't need to elaborate on it anymore. It's very easy. You've got stage 1, stage 2 way of jumping into immersive experiences. So you're going from a non-interactive, more passive. You don't have the levels of worry about maybe being too sick. If your content is maybe a bit crazy and stuff, then yes, you have to be mindful of people are stationary and they're sitting down and they're not going to have that synchronization with the movement. But if you're clever about how you shoot that content, then that's never really an option for worrying too much. But you can get sim-sick type stuff from these more interactive experiences if they don't sync up right, or they don't feel connected to your movements. Once it disconnects from your movements, that's when it's troublesome. So, we really have to be careful with the kind of stuff that we recommend as well. As a company working for rivr, I know that we've done the trials and tests. We know what it's like, and we know people's experiences have been in the past, and how we're trying to change their opinion of that experience they had back in the past when VR was in its kind of early days to now. So
one more bit on Link. I know you've said that before. Said that already.
One last thing.
One last bit.
Steve Jobs never said it twice.
The other thing about knowledge retention and knowledge transfer is how many firefighters, police and military people retire every year and don't give their knowledge back because they just don't do any training anymore. I want people to film those guys or girls filming into camera their experiences, their knowledge, and then save them forever. They need to film people talking about how many fires they've seen, how many car crashes they've been to, and all the things they've learned. So save that knowledge. We can't leave the show without talking about these ducks either.
Yeah, well, there was,
What's the story of the duck?
Special guest ducks.
How many years ago did someone do this? And we sort of copied them, but changed it a bit.
I don't know.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you know more about that than I do. That sounds
Clarion, the company who we share the stand with at this event for the last 4 years, 4 years ago, they had a camouflage duck that said Clarion Events on the side for iTech, and they sold like hotcakes. They were their little draw into the stand to get people talking to them. Well, this year, we thought we'd order a load of military ducks to the Airbnb. They came, we got the spray paint out, and we spray painted a nice little rivr on the bottom, on the little bum area of this duck. We took them to the show today. I think we had 120.
Yeah.
We put them on the stand. We have never had as many conversations with people as we've had today because of these ducks. Everyone loved a river duck.
Yeah.
So I think this was the highlight of today's show. And we're definitely going to do it for the future shows. Like, we're going to go to FDIC in Indianapolis. We're going to have little firefighter ducks. Might even have a little VR headset on them as well. People love a duck. They put them in their trucks and things and sit on the side. They're going to look at that river butt for years to come.
They like them in their Jeeps. That's the thing. It's the Jeep ducks. Definitely.
Are you going to start wrapping up without talking about what's on this table?
What else is on this table?
I can't believe he's not even looking at it.
Well, I thought I was going to like end the show with this.
Okay, this is it then. You need to tell people about this. Where did we go to get this?
Yeah, we kind of obviously went to...
Are you ending the show now?
Yeah, we're going to be calling it a day, unfortunately, to say. You know, it's getting late here in Florida, to be fair. So
You've got to tell the story about that then.
So yeah, let's wind it up by saying that two things happened. Firstly, we obviously went to Disney World. We went to
Star Wars Land.
I mean, Galaxy's Edge. And while we were there, we found that there was a place where you could go and pick as realistic a lightsaber as you possibly can get. And so I thought it would be amazing to pick one up for my little boy, and I decided that I would pick the Anakin Skywalker remastered version, and here it is. This is the lightsaber of choice. Now, the funniest thing about this is not the fact that I'm a grown-ass man holding a lightsaber that obviously won't do much damage. The funniest thing about this is that Alex decided to walk around the show with an Oculus Quest on his head with pass-through whilst wielding this around the show.
Yeah, but that was also your idea, but that was another really good draw to get people to chat to us.
Yeah.
We were trying to leave the show by walking out with it on and this in my hand, and we couldn't get out the show because everyone wanted to hold the lightsaber. I wouldn't let them hold the lightsaber until I spoke to them about what rivr does.
There you go.
They had a flyer and a hold of a lightsaber.
So now rivr have bought my son a lightsaber. Brilliant.
Let's have a little go.
There you are. You can end the show by taking the camera out.
Whiz. This actually looks a lot better with the lights off. It's absolutely amazing.
Alex waves lightsaber near Ty's neck.
And with that, I think it's time to
It
call
even
it
makes
a day.
a little noise, look. That is amazing. We had a little argument a minute ago about whether it's got a gyro in it or not. Really good. Anyway, I think that'll do then. I think I'll keep this.
I might end this video with Alex's wander around the show with the lightsaber and the Quest Pro on.
Do that, that'd be funny.
There we go. You're good. That's the cut.
That's good. You just need some of those flyers there. We're going this way?
Yeah.
Oh, this way?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything's very
King Crow, that's where you wanted to go?
Yeah.
We're not stopping here, just keep walking. Keep walking.
Told you he would do something silly.
Okay, now I'm back. I'm back. Why are you huffing? It was your idea.
What do you mean?
I thought you were huffing.
No, I'm trying to make sure I don't fall over.
The pass-through's good. Pass-through works well. I can follow your dot.